किसी भी फिल्म में मैंने डायरेक्ट कराया, मैंने असिस्ट किया, मैंने लिरिक्स करे, मैंने म्यूजिक में हेल्प किया, किसी भी फिल्म में स्क्रिप्ट से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट कुछ नहीं है।
लेकिन बड़े बड़े प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस में बड़ी बड़ी स्क्रिप्ट्स खराब होती रहती हैं, सेनोरिटा। It was 12th of February 2026 when Vishal Bhardwaj sir posted something on Instagram. और मुझे लगा कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. This was the same feeling when I saw the trailer of O Romeo. I saw the veteran actor Farida Jalalji using cuss words.
चूतिया.
And there I started to have my doubts about the whys of the film. मतलब क्या ये डायलॉग बिना गाली दिए कंप्लीट नहीं हो सकता था? Let's quickly have a look at the plot summary. Set in 1995 Bombay, O Romeo is about a reckless guy who works for a cop for killing the guys that can't be killed legally. Ustra is not happy with the job. He wants to leave India, but then he meets a girl named Afsha. So her husband was killed by this Don, played by Avinash Tiwari, and his people. So Afsha wants to avenge his death. She wants to hire Ustra for the job, but Ustra initially denies and then finally accepts as he falls for the girl. Now this main Don has an indelible history with Ustra, and the whole plot of the story is actually based on a real life story somewhere around Dawood Ibrahim and some other guys. So at the beginning we see the characters. Ustra ka introduction hota hai, Ustra ke friends ka introduction hota hai, and we see Farida Jalalji's character. She's playing the grandmother of Ustra, Shahid Kapoor. But the Vishal Bhardwaj film vibe does not set in until we see Nana Patekar ji on the screen. So Nana sir asks Ustra to kill a guy, and the whole action choreography is set in a single screen theater of 90s, and there arises few problems. A. The whole action choreography reminds you of some sort of KGF and Animal where it should not. B. You expect realism from a Vishal Bhardwaj film, but you actually get the filmiest filmy version of action sequences. Every time Shahid Kapoor fights in the film, for some incomprehensible reason, it reminds me of R. Rajkumar. C. The theater had one villain, but he had 50 plus bodyguards. And Ustra was somehow killing all of them using his razors. Not just that, the bodyguards were dressed in same clothes and they were all bald. A very weird and too dramatic way to showcase and specify who's the hero and who are all the brainless bodyguards. Now let me explain a big sequence. Usse aapko clear ho jayegi things as if you have watched the film. So this sequence has three chief objectives. One of them is foreshadowing the characters. The other is paving way for the further happenings. And third is making the protagonist accept that he is in love with Afsha. Afsha follows two guys to a restaurant. One of them is Patare, and there's this other guy. Both of them were involved in Afsha's husband's murder. Now, these two guys sit in a different place, a separated place in the restaurant, where they meet a matchmaker who has this photo album of girls, and these are the potential wives for Patare. Patare is an aged person, but he is looking for a very good-looking wife. Now, Afsha is sitting at other table, which is at some distance, and Patare explains. Now, this is a very interesting scene. This scene could be very iconic. I would tell you how it could be, but it is not in the movie. Patare is a splendid character. So he explains what sort of wife he wants in a very different sort of manner, something very unexpected. He starts singing classical music, gaane lagta hai wo. And that's how he explains that I want this sort of wife, Mrignani, something like that. बहुत गाड़ी हिंदी में बोलने लगता है. So when I looked at it, so it reminded me of the Inglourious Bastard scenes. जिसके अंदर Christoph Waltz, when he like say the introduction scene or the restaurant scene where he orders cream. Now, when I say that Patare scene could be iconic, I meant that he's sitting at a different place, a different side of the restaurant. So if these guys did, I don't know who made the mistake, editor, director, writer, I don't know who made the mistake, but the point is, if this character could play with the environment, like if you remember Christoph Waltz, whenever he enters, you feel his presence. When he's in the room, you feel his presence. Though he's drinking milk, but you know he's an evil guy. Now, Patare starts singing, it breaks the monotony of the film. And it makes the scene very, very interesting. The problem with this scene is that it did not get the time it required in the film. Now you see Christoph Waltz's introduction in Inglourious Bastards, you would feel that like, Perhaps there was no need to show that he's shaking hands with the other guy. Perhaps there was no need to show that he's meeting in a very gentlemanly way with his daughters. But he does. Why? Because he has to play with the environment, and this is something that shows the realism that actually something is happening. Patare could just order something fancy. Patare could just sit and just behave like humans. This scene could really be a masterclass for screenwriters, for filmmakers. But in this film, it is not, because simply it did not get the screen time it deserved. And thus we lost a great actor with fantastic potential. But I think now we just lost him. In fact, after watching the whole film, I could easily conclude that the only character that seems to be coming from the OG Vishal Bhardwaj world is Patare in O Romeo. If you remember the film Maqbool, Nasir sir's character, Om Puri's character, less screen time but still very impressionable, and it had the screen time it deserved. If you remember Heather, there was Ruhudar's character played by Sir Irfan Khan. Even that character had the screen time it deserved, though it was less but still impressionable. But the editor or the direction team, someone just did not really like this guy. So the sequence ends when Ustra, spoiler alert, Ustra kills the guy who was with Patare. Patare leaves the restaurant, but the other guy gets killed. But here is the whole problem of the script. So I still remember reading books like Save the Cat, Sigfield, and several screenplays. And the first lesson that I learned from these books and screenplays is that uh, the major problem with a flawless screenplay is sometimes the flawed protagonist. Like protagonist is doing everything at director or writer's will, and he's not doing it at character or plot's will. Now the point is that Shahid Kapoor in this film is killing anyone he wants to very easily. If he wants to meet the enemy, if he wants to just get out of trouble, he gets out of trouble. If he wants to get the girl, he gets the girl. In fact, if he wants to take a rebirth, he does take a rebirth. Things like that make the protagonist feel weak, as he does not struggle. Like why I specified this particular scene when he kills the person in restaurant, it's just that he simply arrives there and he kills him. So he doesn't struggle. He is a very conscious killer. He understands what are the consequences of killing people, that he gets into trouble, and the people he is killing are some like related to some big shot, but still he does it very easily. Now this not struggling is the very problem of a protagonist, and if your protagonist in any film is not struggling, then he would not be relatable for the people watching the film. This is the whole problem of the film, and regardless of what happens in the screenplay, if the villain is winning or the hero is losing, he gets the girl, he doesn't get the girl, you would feel nothing. In a nutshell, you don't give a tinkers. Now some quick points. Unnecessary gore. Action choreography that you have seen multiple times. Use of CGI when squib was needed. I'll explain what exactly is squib CGI in some other video, otherwise that would get really long. नो कैरेक्टर सीम्स इम्प्रेशनेबल. आपके दिमाग में, आपके जहन में कोई भी कैरेक्टर नहीं रहेगा. नो गालियां नीडेड. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट आई रिसेंटली फेस्ड इन द फिल्म निशानची. जरूरत नहीं थी गालियों की, जबरदस्ती डाली हुई थी फॉर सम रीजन की ये यूपी की कहानी, और आई डोंट रियली. ऑलमोस्ट एवरी सॉन्ग सीम्स फिजूल एक्सेप्ट फॉर वन, मुझे इश्क हुआ. नाउ सम पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स. So there are two fragments of the film that I really liked. One is the screenplay twist, where Afsha gets married. The other is Tamanna Bhatia's character's storyline. At times, you see some conscious dialogue writing, like reading newspaper. One major problem that this film has, and it is going to affect the industry to a great extent, that if you have seen Vishal Bhardwaj sir's cinema, you must be aware that all his dialogues have depth. They have some politics, they have some plotting, they have some menace, but this film fails miserably in this way. All in all, after a certain point, you just want the film to end anyhow. So Mr. Sajid Nadiadwala is the producer of the film, and I do not hate him because he has given a lot of good films like Chichore as well. So we need good producers, and we want people who believe in artistic people like Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj. But for this particular one, we need to have a word. So Sajid sir, if this video somehow reaches you, which I don't think would, but if it does, and let me tell you, I personally know some of the people around you, and these people these people are liars. They just want to keep their jobs. They don't want to speak the truth to you. So for the next time, please think of hiring a script supervisor who is not from your circle, inner or outer. Because you are a good producer, sir. And we spend money and time both on films. And it's not going to come back, the spent money or time. So you deserve better, we deserve better. कम्बख्त जब इंडियन ऑडियंस विशाल भारद्वाज के सिनेमा के लिए तैयार हुई, तब विशाल सर का सिनेमा. Guys, check out my Instagram as well. I post really good posts over there. And this channel is not just about film or book recommendation. It's much more than that. But I have to make certain videos so that I get followers or subscribers. So if you are actually a filmmaker or a screenwriter aspiring to be, you must follow this channel. And I'm really promising you that I'm going to bring videos that are not even available on the biggest YouTube channels that talk about filmmaking or screenwriting. Auf Wiedersehen.